What's going on, everyone? So DeMar DeRozan is expected to be bought out pretty much any day. He only has $10 million guaranteed. So I don't know if it'll be just like a full buyout or, they settle and I don't know, give him 15 million or something like that, or if they just kind of like, hey, here you go, here's your 10 million. Good luck to you. Of course, DeMar DeRozan, somebody that's linked to the Lakers, somebody that has almost been a Laker on several occasions. This is a great opportunity for him to finally come to the Lakers. It's a great opportunity for the Lakers to finally acquire him. The question is would he take a vet minimum, right? Because especially if he only gets, 10 million. Does he look to try to kind of maximize on one last contract? Or does he look to potentially kind of fulfill that itch that he's had his whole career? Which is like, hey, being a Laker right now would be a great chance and a great opportunity for him to do that. And we'll see. But the question is, should the Lakers even consider DeMar DeRozan? Before I dive into this, I do want to say that I don't think the Lakers should necessarily get DeMar DeRozan. Break glass in case of emergency. Sure, right. Like if Rui fails and Kuminga fails and all else kind of fails. Sure. You could do worse than DeMar DeRozan especially. He's going to be better than the contract that you're going to get. I just think he's kind of more of what we already have, right? He's more of the same, but he also doesn't shoot the three ball, right? Like, yeah, him in the mid-range is going to be great, especially come playoff time. I talk about this all the time, right? Playoffs. Mid-range is so important for the playoffs because teams are make such an emphasis of protecting the paint, protecting the rim, and closing out and tying, running out shooters. So, you usually see teams that go far in the playoffs or have success in the playoffs usually have multiple guys that can knock down the mid-range, right? Look at the Knicks. You got Jalen Brunson, who basically lives in the mid-range. SGA lives in the mid-range. Luka, somebody that lives in the mid-range. Karl Anthony Towns can knock down the mid-range. OG Miquel Bridges, right? They had multiple guys that can knock it down. San Antonio has De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, right? Victor Wembanyama, you had multiple guys that can knock down the mid-range. Devin Vell. So mid-range is important, especially come playoff time. DeMar DeRozan, the dependability. He's dependable. He's healthy. He's a guy that plays. Best ability, his availability. He can defend, right? Like he's not like the defender that we need. The issue is just Lakers offense isn't going to be a problem for the Lakers, right? Lakers last year with Luka missing like a quarter of the season, LeBron James and Austin Reeves missing like half the season each. Lakers are still 9th in offense. Lakers are going to be really good offensively, right? They got better offensive, versatile guys. They got better shooters, right? Everyone that they brought in are all 38-9 to 40+% three-point shooters. So you have the shooting, floor spacing, all that stuff. Luka and Oscar Reeves are going to be able to be Luka and Oscar Reeves. Yes, DeMar DeRozan is big enough to where he can slot in basically 2 through 4 for you. He's played a lot of 4 in his recent years, and in today's NBA, all of the power forwards nowadays outside of Cadet, and even then OKC will run regularly at the center. All the power forwards are 67 to 69, right? Julian Champagny was the power forward for the Spurs and on their finals run. He's 67, right? Gambia was the power forward on their finals run. He's 67, right? Most nowadays, DeMar DeRozan at, 66 slotting in at the power forward position. You can get away with he'd be a mismatch, be less of a liability defensively. Yes, you could play him at the 3. He can still hold his own on the defense side at the 3. But again, he's kind of just more of the same and somebody that is best with the ball in his hands as an isolation scorer, right? He would be ideal as that 6th man. But now you'd have ideally if you can go get, say a Kuminga or something like that, You'd have Sexton and Grimes off the bench, right? Like, Ston is a guy that go get you 17 a night off the bench, and is DeMar DeRozan going to want to play off the bench, right? Like the Snort's argument for like the biggest argument, in my opinion, for DeMar DeRozan is just the talent, right? Like, the Lakers need as much talent as possible. You need as much just like, hey, here's a bunch of just like really talented players and let's make it work, right? Where it's like, you always have that next guy. Reeves is struggling in a playoff series. It's like, well, then we're just going to lean into DeMar DeRozan more and, Deer is going to go get you 20 to 25. DeMar DeRozan is a guy that go get you, 20 like clockwork, right? At worst 15, because you'd have Luka and Oscar, stuff like. So he's somebody that I think could thrive, especially over an 82-game season. I do think he's somebody that would be very beneficial. It's just once you get into the playoffs, it becomes a concern of like, do you have too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Once you get to the playoffs, it's like, how often are you running Luka, Austin Reeves? And I got to get used to not saying LeBron because I'm usually like Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, Luka, Austin Reeves, and DeMar DeRozan. How often are you running all three of them on the court together? And is that going to be able to mesh, especially again with DeMar not being a really willing three-point shooter, right? Like, he can take some here and there, but he's not a great three-point shooter. And he doesn't really take a lot of them. He wants to take the two. And JJ's not really like he's, somebody that wants you to take the deep three rather than the long two because it makes more sense, right? Like, you're taking a bad shot, you might as well take the good shot, and if you make it, then great, right? Like, so there are those kind of issues with DeMar DeRozan. But like I said, to go and bring in somebody that can be a just versatile kind of option for you, a guy that can get you, 25 and 5, help you grab some rebounds, dish out some assists, handle the basketball, initiate, get you in your action, kind of give you another ball handler, right? And look, you could argue, Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. This time I did mean to say LeBron, right? Luka, LeBron, and Osar Reeves, they were able to make it work when the three of them were healthy, right? It took LeBron being willing to take that back seat, but like that could be your argument. Like DeMar, right? LeBron was willing to concede to these two. Like, you're not LeBron. You never were and you never will be, right? Maybe I'd phrase it nicer than that, but like, dude, we're trying to win a championship here. Play the role we need you to play, right? Like, be that secondary shot creator. Be that secondary playmaker. Because a good thing with DeMar DeRozan is you can always have DeMar and on the court. And what I mean by that is like you could always have Luka and DeMar or DeMar and Reeves, right? Like, or Luka and Austin Reeves. So you can, by having somebody like a DeMar DeRozan, you can always have that kind of consistent, constant go-to guy, right? Like, if DeMar could shoot 36% from three this season, I would be totally fine with DeMar DeRozan. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that because, like, if he can consistently knock down the catch and shoot and play off ball and be a raw, relative threat, I do think that there are some genuine advantages to having somebody like DeMar DeRozan. I think that there are some genuine advantages to having somebody that can just go get you buckets, especially when things get stagnant. And you have that other guy that is, more than just a role player, right? Like, Quentin Grimes going to have great games. He's going to have some bad games. Sexton's going to have some great games, going to have some bad games, right? Like, the difference between a star and a role player often is the level of that they can get to, but also the level of consistency, right? So having somebody like a DeMar DeRozan gives you that level of consistency, right? Gives you that level of constant where it's like, hey, this guy can give you exactly what you want. The question is he willing to play a bench role? Because that would be ideal. Him off the bench, as basically your primary scoring option off the bench, and just give him the green light. Hey, dude, go. I want you to average 23 off the bench this season. Like which he can do. I mean, literally this year he only averaged 18.4 points. But on 13 field goal attempts, which is the lowest since his rookie season, right? Like, like if I'm the Lakers, I'm telling Deer, like, Hey dude, you got the green light? Go average like the previous year in SAC where he averaged 22, or in Chicago he was 24 and a half on 17 attempts, right? Give like I think he could get 15 attempts off the bench and give you 20 points, right? 22 points, somewhere in that range. Again, the problem, he's super efficient in the mid-range. Problem is, like I said, the three-point shooting, two attempts, he shot a 32% this past season. The previous year on 3 attempts, which was actually the second most of his career, 3.3 attempts, he only shot being nice, 32.8%. So basically 33%. So again, it's just even that year in Toronto where he shot the most he's ever taken, which is 3.6. He was only 31%. The best three-point shooting percentage of his career is 35%. 35.2% in 2021, 2022, in Chicago. He shot 35.2% on 2 attempts. So that's the problem. He's not somebody that you can rely on shooting the 3 ball. If he could play and knock down the 3 ball with some consistency, but look, LeBron isn't like this super stellar 3-point shooter, right? Like LeBron can be incredibly inconsistent, right? So again, I do think that there is a path to make it work. I do think that there is a path to where it's okay, this could make some sense for the Lakers if DeMar's willing to kind of buy in and accept that role for you, right? If the Lakers were to sign him, I'm not going to be oh my God, what are the Lakers doing, right? But I feel like there's bigger needs, again, this past season, LeBron on 4 attempts shot 31.7%. But the thing is LeBron's had good 3-point shooting seasons. The previous year on almost 6 attempts shot almost 38%, and the year before that on 5 attempts shot 41%. So he's had good seasons. Deer's best season is 35%, which is, again, kind of tough. But like I said, if you can get him at, a vet minimum, essentially, even I would rather have him than Jared Vanderbilt. So, if we can't get Kuminga and we can't get Rui, I don't hate the idea of just hey, wave and stretch Jared Vanderbilt and bring in DeMar DeRozan at the $7 million. I don't hate that. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribed channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.